We're going to end this lesson by taking our first step toward letting users actually sign up for this site. We're not going to get to the actual sign up for a bit, but right now we've got this link that really looks like it wants to go to something. So let's get that to work. The way we're going to do this is we're going to have the sign up page. Well, think about what does sign up do? A sign up creates a new user. And as you may remember from the demo app, we actually know how to create new users. We want to create a user's controller and then have a new action inside that controller. That will be a page to create a new user. That doesn't actually create the user, but that will be the sign up page. And so what we want to do here is start with a controller for users. Before we generated a scaffold for users, but we don't want to generate all that scaffold code in this case. Okay, so Autotest isn't running. Let's start it up. Make sure we're at green. There we go. And now I'm going to do Rails generate controller users. Now controllers are plural, so Rails generate controller users. And as before, we can put the name of the action we want at the command line. And I'm going to start this with a new users page. So this generated the new controller, and it also generated some specs that we don't want. Remember, I don't like the view specs here or the helper specs. These are not part of the Git repository though, so whereas before we did git rm-r to remove them recursively, now we're just going to remove them with rm-recursive force spec helpers and spec views. All right, let's take a look at what happened here. Let's close these down, and let's look at app controllers users controller. So this is good. We've got a new action there. And also let's look at our spec. Spec controllers users controller spec. So this is almost exactly the same structure as the pages controller. Right, here's the pages controller spec, and we've added some stuff to this file, but in this case it just says get new. It should be successful, and then it actually gets new and says the response should be success. Let's go check our test suite just to make sure it's working. Ah, it's failed. Huh, that's surprising. Get users new. Oh, it must be that we need to change Spork. We need to quit Spork and restart it. There we go. So that should have been green. This is the kind of thing that happens with Spork sometimes, but the speed up is worth it. Okay, let's do it again. There we go. So now we're green, which is nice. And let's add one test in analogy with the pages controller spec. Let's make sure that this page has the right title. So it's going to be like this. Response should have selector title and then a title. So that goes in here. Actually, I can do this. It should have the right title. Get new. Response should have selector title content, and I'm going to say the content should be sign up. So this should be red. Now notice what happened here. In this case, we have a base title that we're matching the base title. We're not matching the base title here, and the reason for that is just because we've already tested that base title functionality, and the have_selector method does not require an exact match. In fact, as long as the actual title has this sign up as a substring, this will work. And so that's what's going to happen. It'll say the actual title. Well, we can look at it. Let's look at it. Look at what it is now. /users/new. And now it says Ruby on Rails tutorial sample app. That's the base title. So that's why it's failing now. It doesn't actually say sign up there. But now we're going to get it to green by going to the users controller. Remember what we did in the pages controller? We just added @title variables. Let's look at the users controller. And I'm going to say @title equals sign up. And this should get us to green. If it doesn't, then there's something wrong. Oh no, there's something wrong. What is it? It should have a sign up tag, and it doesn't have it. So why isn't this working? The reason is the same reason that we had a problem in the pages controller spec. The reason is because in order to test this title in the structure of the HTML, we need to render views. So let's take a look at the users controller spec. Render views. And now we should get to green. There we go. And we can do Control-C to rerun the test suite. Make sure everything is green. Good. So now we've got our controller working, our users controller, with a page for new users. It doesn't do anything yet. It's just this default page. But it is working, and it's at /user/new, which is the standard REST URL for creating a new user. Usually, though, when you have a sign-up link, let's go back to the home page, it's conventional to have it be at something a little simpler, like /signup. It doesn't really matter, but this is a nice convention to follow. So let's go back to our integration test for layout links. It's in spec requests layout link spec. Here it is. And let's add another one. It should, oops, look at that, I realized there's a mistake here. Should have a help page. This should have a sign up page at /signup. Just to make clear, let's go back to the users controller spec. If you get /new, it doesn't know anything about /new. When you get new in the controller spec, it's getting an action. But what we really want to do is test the route, and that's why we need an integration test. In this case, we're going to get /signup, and we're going to say that the response should have selector title content is sign up. So let's save that. Okay, and so that's not surprising that it's red, because in fact we need to update the routes. So let's look at the routes file. It's in config routes.rb, and now we have an analogy. We can do match /signup to, remember this is the controller, the first thing, so this is users, in this case, new. We want it to go to the new action of the users controller. So we can do this. Right, and so this is red because we have to restart Spork, and this is as good a time as any to show you how to do this at the command line. I hope so far you've been doing rspec spec like this if you weren't using Autotest. But you can actually run a single test. You can do rspec spec controllers, and then say, actually in this case it's spec requests layout link spec. So let's take a look at this. You still have to pay the same overhead. So let's see if this is green. Yes, so that now it's working, and I'm going to restart Spork. So far, doing rspec spec should have worked just fine because the test suite is pretty short. Like, it's dominated by the overhead. As we get on in this tutorial, I'll show you a couple. Actually, I'll show you one useful technique for running just a single spec. So here we go. Let's take a look at Autotest, and we're green. Excellent. Now all that's left is to actually make the link. So let's look at this page. We want this to say /signup. We want this to be at the URL /signup. And we now know that the way to do that is to use the named route signup path. So let's take a look at the home page. This is in app views pages home.html.erb, and then this thing here will be signup path. Okay, signup path, and now if we reload it, it should work. Let's take a look at it. Okay, I'm going to click on it, and there we go. So this is the new users page at /signup, and we don't actually have anything here, but this is a good start, and I'm starting to believe, I hope you are too, that eventually we'll actually be able to let users sign up to this site. Now, as a final step, I want to write one more integration test. And this is really what integration tests are usually used for. We've used integration tests as a way to test drive our routes. But in general, integration tests are usually used after the fact, once the functionality has already been written, just to double check that everything is working. And sometimes they're called end-to-end specs or end-to-end tests, because they really do test everything in the application. Let's take a look at our layout links spec. All right, so what we want here is a test for these links. We want to test for the slash link, a link that's slash help. We want to make sure these links are really working. This is something that integration tests are really good for. And I'm going to write one big integration test that just does all of this stuff. So let's take a look at that. It should have the right links on the layout. And now I'm going to use some syntax that is used by a couple of different libraries called WebRat and Capybara. I think that they're exactly the same in terms of their syntax, but there's this nice syntax for navigating web pages inside integration tests. So I'm going to do visit root path. So this will hit the root path, and I want to say that the response should have selector, title, content, and the title should be home. That's green. Now you might not think that's exciting, but check this out. On this home page, if you're on the home page, I want to be able to click, say, on About. If I click on About, it should be the About page. Let's check it out. Click, link, About. And then response should have selector, title. Oops. Content about. Look at that. So this is why it's all in one test, because I want to visit one page and then click on these links. So I'm going to click on another link. Let's click on contact. This response should have selector, title, content, contact. Click link, home. This is the same thing. This is the home page. And then I'm going to click link on the home page, sign up now. The response should have selector. The content should be sign up. So now we've tested clicking on all those links, and I think this is awesome. I mean, when I first discovered that Rails tests could do this kind of thing, I was just blown away. So we've really got a good test now for our layout and our layout links. And now, as a special bonus, I want to add one more somewhat advanced test, which is a test for this link right here. So it's this guy here, this link to the logo. Remember, it was in the header. Link to logo, root path. There's a way to test for this. This is a little advanced. It uses have selector. And what we're going to do is say there's an anchor with href equals slash, which is what it is if you look at the source. There's an anchor with href equal to slash. And we want the content of the thing to be an image. We want the thing inside the href to be an image. And the way you do that with have selector is you use this the greater than sign, which means that the next tag is inside this tag. So inside the a tag, there should be an image tag. Oops, an imp tag, an image tag. Because it's not surprising that this, you might have noticed that it was green, which isn't surprising because we did have an href equal to slash, and that was the home link. If you click on the link home, it did go to the root path. In this case, then now we're saying that not only is there a link to the root path, but it's got an image inside it. And so let's save this and see if it's still green. And there we go. If you want to be paranoid, you can actually get rid of this. You can, if you want to see it go to red. This is just now the logo without the link. And if you go back here and do space backspace, take a look at this. So now it's red. Now we can be confident that it's actually testing this exact link.